my name's Kira Ruse and I'm from Greensboro Ballet, and I'm here in this video to show you how to sew your pointe shoes. Little disclaimer, I've had some allergies today, so if I sniff a little bit in this video, that is why. And the other thing is that in this video I am using an old pair of pointe shoes to show you the two different ways of or two different stitches I use to hand sew my pointe shoes with. So let's get started. So today I will be using a used pointe shoe, an old pointe shoe. It's a little dirty, but for now we're going to pretend this is brand new and shiny. And for this you'll have your two ribbons and your elastic. You can either cross your elastic or just have one loop. And I will be showing you the one loop today. So, a little change of scene. I put down this black fabric, so hopefully you'll be able to see me sewing a little bit better, and I'll focus a little better on here. So, we have our shoe. We're going to take the back of the heel, and we're going to fold it over like this, and we're going to make these little creases. And then, what we're going to do is take a pencil, which I can't find at the moment. What you do is you take a pencil, and in these creases, we'll pretend my scissors are my pencil, and we make a mark here and here. So when you unfold this, you will have marks where your ribbons will go. Now, for what you need to sew is today I am using one of the stitch kits from Suffolk. And of course I have my scissors. And then I have a lighter as well, but you do not have to use this if you don't want to. I use this for when I cut off my ribbons. When I cut off my ribbons, and this end piece here, let's see if you can see it. There we go. It's melted, and what I do so it does not fray here, I take the lighter and I just melt the end of the ribbon, and then I lick my fingers so I don't burn myself, and do this to it so it flattens it out. You do not have to do that. You can just let it cool after you burn it. But I do that to both ends, and I do it to my elastic actually. So I melt the end of the elastic right there. Let's see if you can see it. There we go. Now when you burn the elastic, it does smell just a little bit like burning plastic, of course, because these have plastic in them. But, so let's get into sewing. Let's pop this off to the side. So, for our pretend marks after we do this, I'm just going to hold it here and come up. And then what I like to do is I like to fold the end of my ribbon like that. Excuse me, sorry, I have the sniffles. And then I just take it down like this, and I place it at an angle. That way, when I wrap it around my ankle, this doesn't bunch up over here like this. So, there we go. Let me pop this. It helps if you roll your shoe out like this. That way, it's not in the way. You get to your ribbon or where you need to sew a little bit better. So, you take your thread. Oh, mine's not knotted at the end. So, let me take it and tie it in a knot here. There we go. Take your thread. I like to double up my thread when I sew. I hope you can see that. I like to double it up, makes it a little bit stronger. There we go, grab this. Now, this stitch that I'm doing, it's called a whip stitch, and it just goes round and round in circles. So, when you do your first stitch, you go in the in-between layers, or the first and second layer in your point shoe. You put it through like that. You just pull tight. And the same thing going all the way up. You just keep going in a circle. Out here. And then you pull nice and tight. Like that. Sorry, let's see if I can keep this in the thing. I hope you can see that pretty well. I'll do a couple more stitches, and then I will show you up close what it looks like. So, in, up, and around. You just keep going as high as you want it. You just go on the, I know I've already said this once before, but you just go on the first and second layer in the shoe. You actually don't go all the way through. So, once you get to a certain spot, one thing I don't recommend is going through this piece right here, because this is your drawstring. You don't want to sew that, otherwise you have to take all this out. So I go up to about, I'm sorry, this is flipping a little too much, but I go up to about here on the inside, and then what I do is I poke it through like that. Pull it nice and tight so there's no bubble. And your heel may pop up outside, right? So, and then right below it, stitch through like that. And then you just pull tight. And you keep going all the way across until you reach this side. So, push through, pull, push through, and pull. All the way. And the reason why I do it right along here is because if you look at it, let me pop my needle in right here. If you look at it, you can barely see the stitches right under this. So you pull, push, oops, try not to stick my other ribbon, stay in frame here. And then the last one, put through, like that, pull it through. Okay, so turn my heel back outside wrong. That way it opens up, and it stays open, that way you can sew. There we go. See, and then we will just continually, oh, don't focus on my hand, focus on this. There we go. Continually do this whip stitch right here. Back down this side. So, you go in, oops, in here. Through that first and second layer. Pull through, pull tight. And then back to the outside of the ribbon. Push through. And pull it nice and tight. I'm sorry, this keeps going in and out of focus. There we go. And then you keep going all the way down. So push through. Okay, the last stitch for this one. You can go along the bottom if you like. You can make a full square if you'd like. I usually don't do that. That way it's a little smoother down here. And it doesn't pinch your foot. Just in case the stitching is a little weird on it. So I usually just stop here at this second corner. And then what I do is I start a regular whip stitch. What I do is I pull it tight just a little bit, so it makes a little loop like that, and then you put your needle through it once, twice, and then you pull nice and tight, and that makes a knot. Let's see if you can see the knot. Will it focus? There we go. Just like that. I like to do that a couple times. So start your stitch, pull it out to make a loop, and then once, twice, and you pull nice and tight, just like that, and make a little knot. Now what I like to do is put a stitch through and pull it tight. That way it hides. Whoop, focus. Come on. Focus. There we go. That way it hides the knot under the corner and it doesn't dig into your foot afterwards. So after that, take our scissors. We cut up close. Cut it off. And there is our elastic on one side. Now let's do the other side. Okay, so I got me a new piece of thread, a little bit longer so we can sew that other piece, but I wanted to show you a little trick about tying a knot in the end of your string. So what you do is you pinch it between your index and your thumb. What you do is you wrap it around your index finger. Make sure you have a little bit of a tail. Wrap it around your index finger just like that, and what you do is you roll it like that, and then you pull tight. There we go. Just pull that out. Just like that to make a little knot. Just like that. I'm going to cut these little strings off. That way we don't have little strings in our shoes. And there is a knotted string. So let's do our other ribbon. So you fold it back. If you don't have your lines, I'll just fold it back like that. See how this one's in the crease? Do the same for the other one. I'm just going to pinch it right there in the crease. That way I know where to put it. This one's got some old string in it. I like to recycle my ribbons between pairs of point shoes. So it goes right there. You can either pin this in place if you have problems holding it, or you can just hold it in between your thumb and your index finger. So there is that. Grab our needle and put our first loop in. There's that. Go around. Just that first, whoop, stay nice and tight. First layer, you come around. And just going in between the first two layers and not going out the satin on the outside, it just makes a very nice clean look to the outside of the shoe. And once I'm done, I will show you what that looks like. So there is our whip stitch. It goes right up. Oh, come on, focus. Yes. There it goes. So there's our whip stitch. And now I'm unsure what the technical term for this is, but it's basically just a straight stitch. So you go through the shoe. See how close it is right there? Pull it out and pull it nice and tight. And then through and pull tight. And you just keep going. And if you get a little bubble like that one right there, all you have to do is pause for a moment, grab one of the strings. If that string doesn't work, pull the other one, make it nice and tight like that. There we go. Pull nice and tight. No bubble. Just keep going. If you get on this little edge right here, see where that stitch is right there? If you get right below it, that's okay. Just try not to get up here in this little pocket. Okay, put my last stitch in. Oops. Sorry. Looking through the camera instead of looking at my shoe. Put my last stitch in right through there. Now if it's a little tough pushing it through your shoe, you can always use a thimble and it just helps push it through if it's just a little tough. With satin shoes, it's not too difficult sewing them that way. So we're going to toss our ribbon on the outside as I get everything tangled. There we go. And we go back down with our whip stitch. And when you come through on this side, make sure you don't come back through on this side right here of the ribbon, because you want to continue that whip stitch. So you want to come up through the ribbon and then go back in this way. Come on. Focus. There we go. Back in this way with your whip stitch. You just pull nice and tight. And you can always make this piece a little longer if you want a little more room with your ribbon on the inside. Depends on how much you want inside your shoe or not. So there's our whip stitch. Sometimes it is not the prettiest stitch in the world, but it does secure the ribbon pretty well. And to make our loop, get it through the shoe. There we go. Make our loop like so, just like that. And we go through, I like to pull it even, go through once and again, and then you just pull nice and tight. You have a knot. And I'm going to do it one more time, make sure it is secure. Pull my loop up like so. Excuse me. Like so, we go through once. Oops, going in and out of focus. Twice. And then we pull nice and tight. Just like that. And just to tuck the string in, go through one more time. Oops, pull that little loop out of it. Yep, pull that little loop out of it. There we go. And then we take our scissors and cut it. And there are our ribbons. And then this is the finished product if you do not go through. There we go. See how nice and smooth that is? And then once this comes down, you don't really see that stitching right there. It was nice and seamless on either side. See? Okay, so now I will show you how to sew your elastics on. So, to sew your elastics on, you put the shoe on to measure out where you want your elastics, and since this is one single piece, you go from the heel right here, and you wrap around, you go to the other side, and pull it slightly taut, and then you take a measurement, and then you cut it off, because this becomes in a much longer roll. And then you can either take your lighter and do the edges of it, or you don't have to. So, my rule of thumb, literally, is that where I mark mine is about a thumb's width. You see where it was sewn before. It was a thumb's width away from the back seam. And it's usually enough on both sides, usually a thumb's width on both sides, to keep it from digging into your heel. Now, if you need a little more support to pull up that heel, you can sew it back here, but I would just be careful, because it may rub on your heel a little bit. So, I'm going to put our elastic here and do the same exact thing as here. So, let me tie my string. I'll show you this trick one more time. Let me move this out of the way so it's not focusing on that. There we go. Take it. Come on, focus. There we go. Put a little tail in there. Index and thumb, wrap it around your finger, roll, and pull tight. See, nice little knot. Cut this off. There we go. I guess I need a little sharper scissors. So, put my elastics right where I had them before, usually a thumb's width, and just pinch it with your thumb and your index finger, just like that. And then we just start our whip stitch. Sometimes going through elastic is a little bit tougher, so you may need your thimble or something to push the needle through. Now do the same thing here. Go through one side, out the other. Now this does take a little bit of practice. The first time I sewed my point shoes, it took me almost 2 hours each shoe. Yes, each shoe. But that's because I was learning. And it's okay if it takes you a while. Do not give up when you're sewing your point shoes. Or sewing in general, because if you don't know how to sew, this is a very good skill to learn. I'm sorry, a little tongue-tied there. There we go. We have our whip stitch. And then our, I call this a few different things. Our straight stitch. Can't remember what I called it before. So, and then we go back. See how it's on the elastic right there? And we go out, up and through the elastic, just like that, and pull it tight, just like that. And when you get to this other side, you don't really have to hold on to it too much, because once you get up this side, across the top, it's usually pretty stable on there. Just pull it tight, and then we're back at our corner. And we do our knot. Okay, so we have our loop, just like that. I'm sorry if I was out of frame. We go once, twice, and pull tight. And one more time. Make the loop, go through once, a little out of focus, twice, and pull nice and tight. You don't have to put another stitch in if you don't want to. Once you make that knot, you can usually just cut it off. Don't cut it too close. You want to give yourself just a little bit of room. And then, once you're done, if you have enough, you can just tie the knot, ready for the next side. See, nice and sewn. Nice and clean on, whoop, focus, there, on this side. Now we'll come back once I finish this side. And okay, so I just finished sewing on the second side. One thing I wanted to mention is if you ever run out of thread, like I almost did, or if you don't think you have enough thread, you can always stop, make a knot where you're at, and then just get some more thread and keep going. So this is the final result. See, nice and clean on all of them. Now if you want, you can go through the other side of the satin, but if you want a nice clean look, you just go through the first 2 layers in the shoe. One more thing before I finish up. One thing I recommend is getting a slightly thicker needle. And if you get one of these stitch kits or have one of these stitch kits, they come with thicker needles. I think there's one in here already. Yep. Usually they come with 1 or 2 of them. Oh, yeah, there it is. 1 or 2 of them. Here, pull that off. Usually one's a little thicker than the other. I do not recommend using a very tiny flimsy needle because you're pushing it through a very stiff material, and I've had at times poke me. So try to find a little thicker needle if you can. If you don't, that is okay. Just be very careful. Pop this back in here. Just like that. I'll put this in my sewing kit. So yeah, that is the shoe finished. And if this was a brand new shoe, it'd be ready to wear and ready to be put on a foot and be broken in to wear for class or performance or whatever. Thank you guys for joining me in this little tutorial on how to sew your pointe shoes. If you have any questions, comments, or anything about sewing your pointe shoes, please leave them in the comments below. I will respond as quick as I can to them. Please like and share this video, and please stay safe out there. Hope to see all of our students back in the studio soon, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!